Hey, welcome back. My name is Jay Oza. I teach, mentor, and coach people on public speaking so that they can give winning high stakes speeches, whether it's for a job interview, a business or sales meeting, or even at a conference in front of a lot of people. This is the second part of my book writing series, and I'm really excited about this series because there are a lot of people out there who want to write a book, but they're kind of struggling. Like, how do I get started? It's such a big task to think of yourself, holding your own published book. And all the information I'm giving is for self-publishing, by the way. This is not if you have a publisher or that. I don't know what that process is, and I haven't gone through it, so I'm not going to talk about that. I'm just going to talk about self-publishing, which you can do today. And I'm currently in the process. So a lot of the information I'm giving is not after the fact, like, hey, I've done it, so now I'm going to sugarcoat it. This is all the good, bad, and ugly as I'm going through the process, which I think is kind of important because after the fact, you kind of forget the struggle that you have to go through, or it may not even be relevant. While I'm recording it, where I stand right now is with my book that I'm publishing called Winning Speech Moments, is that I have now submitted my final changes to the editor, and whatever he comes back, that is it. I'm not going to make any more changes to it. That's the final. And then I'll let you know where I stand and what I've learned from it. But in this video, I want to talk about you made the commitment that you want to book in 2 years, and you've got to make that commitment. If you haven't made that commitment, don't watch this video because I'm assuming you already made that commitment that I want to book in 2 years. I don't care what it is, but I want to book, and that's fine. That's what I'm asking you to do. Make that commitment. We'll figure out the book you're going to write because you're going to figure it out. I'm not going to help you. You're going to figure it out. And the way to do it is you gotta have thoughts, right? You got to be doing things. You got to start doing some work. You got to read some books on writing. You got to motivate yourself. And Lamott, Bird by Bird, is a great book to read. And there are many others that I can talk about in a separate video. But start learning the craft. You may want to pick up the University of Chicago style, book so that you're conforming to a particular style of writing. Because if you're going to write a book, you got to take the craft seriously. Otherwise, it's not going to be fun and you're not going to be learning the process. Because this is like you giving yourself the master's degree. When you hold the book in your hand after 2 years, that's like getting a diploma, of getting a master's degree. And this one, you didn't have to go to school. You just did it yourself through taking courses, through learning about the craft, learning about how to write, giving a lot of thought, and the whole process. So that's what this book to me represents. It's your validation of getting a master's degree without going to school. The book is that diploma. Okay? So how do you get started? So you're saying, well, okay, Jay, I made a commitment. I want to book in 2 years, but I really don't know what topic. All right, that's fine. You don't need to know. Pick several topics, maybe 3, 4, no more than 5, because I think that it gets too many. I would even limit it to 3. When I started blogging, I basically did it on sales, communication, and interviewing. And then there were some others that came up here and there. But sometimes you come up with different thoughts and you can't do much about it. You want to write it down. Now, when I did it, I kind of just wrote things down, and a lot of it never showed up anywhere. But I think now the process, I think it's more effective. And here's what I do. Every morning I go for a walk, which takes more than an hour, about an hour and 10, 20 minutes or 30 minutes. So walking is my thinking time. So let's say if I read a book, maybe it's a book like this, The Godfather. Godfather is a story, but there's a lot of good information here that could be used for a book that you're writing. Not about mobster, but about things that you learn about human behavior. So this book, don't dismiss anything you do. Any book you read, there is wealth of information that could show up in the book that you're writing. So don't dismiss anything. The book you read, your experience from your childhood to now, and everything you're observing, and even what you're observing on television, movies, everything is open to you. So you have all this information that's going into your head and all the experiences you have. also all the conversations you're having. All of that could be used in your book, and you should. And you could, write it down on a diary like this, and then that's not a bad idea. I keep one of these with me. But one of the things that I tend to do is I carry one of these with me, an audio recorder. Now, you don't need an audio recorder. You can use your cell phone, but I like this to be separate because on my smartphone, I got a lot of apps and it kind of gets cluttered. So I want this completely separate. So I keep one of these with me all the time. They don't cost much. I think around $30. I don't know. You can check on Amazon. And I've had this for many years now. Same one. As I'm walking, I could be listening to my audiobook or a podcast, and any thought that comes to my mind, I will record it in here. And that could be 5 minutes, could be 20 minutes, could be 30 minutes. I'll get it onto my audio recorder. So that's where it all starts. So it's like a funnel. There are a lot of thoughts. I take the thoughts out of my head, capture it in the audio recorder. So that's the first step. So that's where it all starts. Once I record that, there's a lot of stuff I record, okay? So let's say I record 1 hour of stuff, and I do record a lot. Out of that, maybe 2 may be useful, maybe even 1 useful. So let's just go with 1. So there's 1 idea that I definitely like. So what am I going to do with that? I'm going to take that idea, and that's exactly what I'm doing with this video. I like this idea. I said, well, you know what I'm going to do the next step? I am going to make a video recording. And that's exactly what I'm doing right now. So I took something sort of like the best of from my audio and making a video recording. So now video recording is set. It's kind of loosely structured. I didn't have to, write down anything. A lot of this is just kind of coming up on the fly. I mean, I have a rough idea what I'm going to say, but it's not like I got any kind of notes or something that I'm looking at that I had to prepare. I basically said I want to give some tips on my process, and that's exactly what I'm doing. So as you can see, it's not well organized the way it would be if it was in a written form, but at least I now have a video and I can get some feedback. Once I finish this, I'll be able to get some feedback from people who are watching it. Okay, so now I went from audio recording my thoughts, a lot of things are in my head, I got it captured. Now I'm taking it to the next step. I'm making it even more formal by video recording. Okay. Now let's say I like this. So, I've got a lot of videos out there, and as you can see, I got close to over 600 now. I'll then take the video and turn it into a blog. Okay, so I went from thoughts to audio to video, from video to blog. Now, obviously, the blog will be highly edited blog because I want to keep it short, and then before I put in the blog, I'll be working on the blog in either Evernote or Google Docs. So I'll capture as much as possible from the video, maybe massage it a little bit, and turn it into a blog. And within that document, I will have all kinds of references and stuff that I used to write the blog. And then I'll run it through Grammarly Checker. Grammarly is a tool that I use to make sure I avoid silly mistakes, because for this I'm not going to hire an editor to edit it. And then I will post it as a blog. And then that particular document is still there. That particular document is still there. That particular document is still there that I can use if I want to expand that. Okay, so let me just walk through these steps again if this didn't come through clear. So you got a lot of thoughts, you capture it on your audio. From audio, you may take 1 or 2 ideas and video record it. From video, if you like it based on the feedback, give some time, let it kind of simmer to see whether this is something you want to write. Because blog is an effort, okay? And I know there are a lot of people who say, oh, you write 1,000 words a day, write 1,000 words a day. I don't really write 1,000 words a day. If I'm going to write 1,000 words a day, I want to make sure that those words are going to be used for something. Like in my case, if I'm writing a book, that they are going to be used. I don't want to waste 1,000 words and just throw it away. If I'm going to throw anything away, that's already here in my audio, and it could be on the video. But once I sit down and go through the writing process, for me, it doesn't come that easy. So I have to spend a lot of time. And if I'm putting something in words, I want to make sure that I can reuse it later on, either in a book or in some other form. So I just want to make it clear that I do not subscribe to this thing where I have to write 1,000 words a day. I have to write 1,000 words a day. I don't want to write crappy 1,000 words a day. Because if I want to write crap, yeah, I can get 1,000 words like that. But at the end, it's still crap. I don't want to do that. I want to write words that are coming from something. And this is my thoughts that I took from audio to video, and now I'm going to put it into text. And then the text, I want to keep it short, but if I want to turn it into a book, I have the document that has all the references, sources that I can expand it and turn it into a much lengthy, maybe a chapter or a subchapter in a book. Okay, let's say you do this on different topics for a certain number of days or months, and at some point you'll reach a point, let's say after a year, you will get a pretty good idea on which topic you have written the most number of blogs. So in my case, it turned out to be on communication. And once I saw that, now again, I'm kind of making it seem like I had a process. I didn't have a process. This is sort of like after the fact. I kind of stumbled into it, but I never gave a lot of thought that I'm giving it to you here. So if you're watching this, you think like, wow, he had it all figured out. No, this is all an accident, so that you don't have to go through this pain that I went through. Okay, so if you're blogging consistently and doing what I'm saying, that you record your thoughts, capture it, and then say, okay, I now recorded a video, and now I'm going to write a blog. At some point after a year, I may want to turn that into a book. That's the process that I'm talking about. You will then decide which particular topic is the one that you have written the most number of blogs. And at that point, you're in a position to say, hey, I got 50 blogs on sales, let's say, on sales coaching maybe, or sales prospecting, or whatever, right? Closing. I think there's a book here. And you do have a book there. Now you got to take that 50 blogs and turn that into a book. And that you got to massage it and organize it in such a way and get a first draft out. And then there's the process that takes place. And that could take a year as you're working on it, or it can take a lot less. Once you become good at it, it may take a lot less. But I'm assuming you're working, you're busy, that it's not like you can do it. Because if you give 2 years, you can kind of incrementally do it. And do remember, this is an incremental process. You're not racing against anybody. You got to get a book done in 2 years. That's plenty of time. And this is how, if you do it in a deliberate method, because you also want to improve the way you're writing too. You want to enjoy the experience of writing a book. I know that's kind of scary for people, like enjoying the experience, but you want to kind of enjoy that, because it is going to take a while before you kind of get into the groove of writing. And then writing is not just sitting down and start writing words. There are a lot of things that go into writing. You got to learn the craft. You got to learn how to think better, learn how to capture it, and learn how to organize your thought so that it starts making sense, so that others are able to understand it. Develop your style of simplicity, clarity, all of that. And that takes a while. That's not just going to come up. And the main thing you want to do is write it in a way you speak. And if you find out you're not speaking well, then you're going to have to learn how to speak well, because that's how you want to write. You want to be clarity, develop your style. You want to make sure what kind of words you use that you're comfortable with. So there's a lot of things that go into that. And it takes a while. I don't want to say that this is something that you're just going to pick it up, but you're going to have to do it. That's the only way you're going to know. And then once you have your draft done, now that's the second part, which I'm going to cover in a second video. You're not there yet. All you have is a draft. Then you start cleaning it, get beta readers and all that. And that's why what I'm saying is that once you have done the blog process for 1 year, you now have the material. To turn that into a book is still a lengthy process. And we'll talk about that in future videos. How do you go from that? So I hope this kind of is clear now what the process is on how do you come up with the content. And as I said, when you're starting out, it may not be on one particular area. Make it more broader, make it 3. Then start writing about it. Keep focused. Don't expand beyond 3, or like I said, 5 at most. And then at the end of the year, you will have enough to know which one is the one that you have written the most number of blogs about. And then you can decide. If you got 50, you got a book there. 50 should be the number. If I got 50 blogs, I got a book here. Now go and turn it into a book and focus for that 6 months or 1 year. and just get that book done. And I bet you that, and the reason I'm giving a whole year is because there are a lot of things that come up, working with the editor, working with the book designer, book cover. There's a lot of process there. And that's one of the things that I will talk about, because that's the thing that kind of underestimated how long that was going to take. The editing part is kind of hard, actually. Finding a good editor and working with a good editor. And I'll talk about that, what I went through, so you understand. Okay? I'll stop at this point. I think I've given you a lot to chew on. Let me know if you have any questions, comments, suggestions, or ideas. And as always, thank you for watching, and good luck on your book writing process.